I've been told the house always wins. I've spent more than 2 decades proving this to be less than accurate. My name doesn't matter. My clan knows who I am. I am a professional gambler, not the fake, romantic Hollywood version, the real sleep in your car version. This is a show about the characters, the plumber, the nose, the kid, and the mostly true tales from a life lived on the felt. Grab a deck of cards. Make yourself comfortable. Folklore from the felt begins now. Some people are built for gambling, and some, unfortunately, just aren't. As the great Simo once said, when you show someone the ropes in the casino, you change the whole trajectory of their life. There is, in fact, a very fine line, an incredibly, microscopically fine line. And like any tightrope, all it takes is one bad step, one bad night, one bad month, one moment of weakness. And a professional gambler, who is addicted to his work, becomes an addicted gambler, who works his edge just to stay in action. I have met many who, like the 7, have almost never fallen, and plenty more who have. My career started early. I would ride my bicycle to the truck stop right beside the interstate to check the phone booths. In the before times, you see, there were no cell phones. Over-the-road truckers, who even back then consumed copious amounts of meth, they called it speed, would make phone calls out of state. To avoid hearing the operator say, "Please deposit another 25 cents for 4 more minutes," they would preload the phone with $3 or $4 in quarters. Well, sometimes they might forget to wish their wife a happy anniversary or whatever, and the person on the other end would hang up and cut the call short. I would ride up on my bicycle. At 9 or 10 years old, kids used to play outdoors in the before times, dismount, and hit all of the coin return levers that I could barely reach, and wait for the sweet sound of coins dropping. This was my first encounter with a jackpot. I would spend my newly acquired wealth on bicycle supplies, like tubes or patch kits, and if the machine was already in tip-top shape, I might even splurge and get a soft-serve ice cream cone or a pack of baseball cards. In another corner of the Northeast, a totally different individual was involved in a totally different world, now known as the Rabbi. Back then, his people simply called him Mahzik, or occasionally, Meshugena Mahzik. Roughly translated, crazy menace. I have traveled quite a bit, and it still surprises me when I stumble into a world within a world, especially one I knew nothing about. We have all heard of the Amish or the Pennsylvania Dutch. Maybe we've had the gas station attendant in Little Havana, Miami, ask in Spanish what pump our car is at. But few know of a small enclave in the shadow of New York City called Muncie. A world within a world, where English is the 3rd most spoken language. While I was checking for abandoned coins in the phone booths a bit to the north, Mahzik was busy trying to read books and scrolls in a language that wasn't his, while at the same time trying to fit in with the kids from Brooklyn. Mahzik learned to keep a baseball cap with him, so he could cover his mandatory yarmulke. While I was learning basic carpentry skills to carry on the family tradition, the Rabbi was taking the bus to the diamond cutting district, the 47th Street area. While I was providing cheap labor for the family business and learning a trade, Mazik was too. I started by sweeping the floors. So did he. But that is where the similarities end. I got a ride from a family member to and from work. The rabbi had to pay $2 each way to the Balagola. Even though the bus would have been cheaper, he couldn't take it. In the Hasidic culture, at least the subset that lives near Manhattan and works in the Diamond District, it is expected that one supports other Hasidic businesses. It is not enough to eat at a kosher deli. One is expected to patronize only Hasidic-owned establishments. But most days, he just ate a sack lunch made by his muma. When a position on the bench opened up, the rabbi got his chance to try his hand at cutting. Obviously, your first job is not going to be the Hope Diamond. He got about the ricketiest lapidary wheel in the place, and along with 4 other guys, 2 of whom were named Yaakov, worked on cutting mostly miscolored flawed stones, the kind the Schwarzer rappers would show off on their rented jewelry in their MTV videos. Oh yeah. In the before times, although Mazik had never seen it, we had MTV. After several years of this drudgery, I found myself in college. The rabbi had graduated too, several times in fact. He had moved up a couple of benches to the more important stones. Still sub-carat range, but nice stones. Between being the sole breadwinner in his home and the confusion of juggling Yiddish, English, and Hebrew, he stopped attending the yeshiva. I had become a craftsman of my trade as well. I was no longer waiting for the payphones to pay out. I would attack the lockers at the on-campus textbook exchange. You see, they wouldn't let you in with a backpack or purse, so they had a huge bank of coin-operated lockers where you could store your bag while you shopped. The first 3 days of classes each semester, I could make $300 a day. You see, only about 5 people in the history of that higher learning establishment ever stopped to read the sign that simply said, "Return key, open door, retrieve quarter below." The slot itself was hidden in the shadow of the toe kick. My college had dorms that were literal skyscrapers. Between that and not being a drinker myself meant that on Sunday morning, while everyone else was asleep or hungover or both, my roommate and I would start at the top of each building and work our way down. A couple of empty cardboard boxes and 16 trash rooms per tower. We could pick up enough beer bottles and cans to make 100 to 150 each in a morning, at 5 cents apiece when returned to the Big Y supermarket. Not drinking had another advantage as well. Where I grew up, we called it High-Low Jack. Out there in western Massachusetts, they called it pitch. Between pitch, cribbage, and the returns, I didn't have to work for a couple of years. Mazik had become craftier too. After hearing his boss in a heated argument with the shop owner across the street, he pounced. At the end of the day, waiting for that rusty Dodge van to pick him up, he crossed the street and started some small talk with the other shop's owner. He would break one of the tenets of his religion. But it wasn't the first time, and as sure as the Messiah will one day come, it wouldn't be the last. All he had to do was let one small, itty-bitty embellishment slip. "I might miss the bus," he said, pointing back at his own place of employment. That slave driver I work for is tough. You cut for him? Yeah, but only because the pay is good. How much does he give you? $8 an hour. This was the second embellishment. He only made $7.50. Well, if you are cutting whole carrot stones, I'll pay you 10, to not work for that bum, but only on one condition. What's that? Never mention his name to me again. He had his baseball cap, a couple $100, and a new, better-paying job. Time to break another tenet. He boarded the bus, not the Balagol, the regular bus, to the far-off land of Atlantic City. Why not try his luck? He didn't play any of the table games. That would require interacting with people, and somebody might recognize him. No self-respecting Hasidic Orthodox Jew would be caught dead in a casino, unless, of course, he owned the place. So he found a slot machine in a quiet corner of an establishment that will remain nameless. If I mention it, the 45th or 47th president might have me deported. And Meshuggah Rabbi went broke. He was down to his last pull when something amazing happened. Nothing. Flat broke. No cab, no food, no backup plan. Just a baseball cap and no way home. He stared at the wall, rocked his head back and forth, muttered something in Yiddish or Hebrew. Hard to say. Then he turned his gaze toward the exit, to face the real world. And that's when he saw it, like a miracle, like a beacon, like the Star of David on a clear winter night. Something glimmered. A few machines away, in the back corner of a coin tray, sat a coin, one he didn't recognize. A silver-colored dollar Trump Taj Mahal token. Oops. He picked it up, turned it over, pocketed it. Then he found another. And another. Turns out, when you're not playing the machines, when you're just walking the floor with nothing left to lose and nowhere to be, you start to see things other people miss. Forgotten coins in coin trays. Overlooked. Invisible to everyone else. Not to him. The rabbi had eyes like a man who could spot a microscopic carbon inclusion in a gemstone from a mile away. He had bus fare now. He headed for the bus lobby. The bus lobby was almost vacant when he heard a voice. It was so embarrassing. How did somebody know him here? How did they recognize him? He hadn't heard a single word of Yiddish in the last 36 hours. Shalom, my friend. You go broke, too. Mahazik looked up. Do I know you? No. It's just, I'm Jewish, too. Well, my mother is, on her mother's side. Who said I'm Jewish? The knotted strings hanging out from under your t-shirt. He looked down. The tzitzit. Don't worry. I won't tell anybody back in Brownsville. Treef and the rabbi continued their conversation onto the bus that arrived a couple of hours later. Halfway to Port Authority, Treef showed the rabbi his little secret. I never totally go broke. I have this magic little $50. I don't know how it works or why it works, but I will be buried with this thing. From the little pocket on the inside of a very thin leather wallet, Treef produced a standard Kennedy $50. His spindly fingers held it up. My precious. Well, he didn't really call it that. That thing looks like it went a few rounds with Iron Mike, said the rabbi. Yeah, I think that might have something to do with its magic. The only thing I know is, I wish I had more of them. A whole bunch more. The rabbi inspected the coin for a second. Can you turn it around? The wheels were turning. I could make you another just like it, if you want. Yeah, but it might not have the same magic. What kind of magic does it have? Treef explained. You see, I drop it in a slot machine, and it's just another $50. But when I win, the magic kicks in. I hit bar for 10 credits, and I get 11. 10 regular coins plus my magic coin. The machine counts it on the way in and not on the way out. If I just had more of them, I would never lose. The rabbi reached out his hand. May I? Treef handed over the coin, reluctantly. When he finally let go, the rabbi pulled from his beard, or some other undisclosed location, a jeweler's loupe. Treef stared at him. I didn't know you worked at NASA. I don't. I cut stones on 47th Street. I can make another. In fact, I can make as many as you want. What did you see with that microscope? Nothing. It's all naked eye visible. You see how thin it is right here? And this nick near the tail feathers. I can make you more of them. As the rabbi likes to say, another week, another 1,000,000 or 3 for my boss. He boarded the bus south for a second time. This time not ashamed. This time proud of his accomplishment. He had made 3 perfect copies from memory of that 1978 Kennedy $50, shaved and nicked in the exact places the original had been. When he found Treef at their prearranged location, the Sub-Brett's hot dog stand, where Tiny, who sported about 6 carats worth of the rabbi's handiwork, sold dirty water dogs and much more, he said, "Put your magic coin on the table." Then, one by one, Mazik produced 3 identical coins. Identical in every way. I used the scale at work. 10.92 grams. Treef stared at them. He couldn't tell them apart. Just like that, the 2 men went to the nearest casino. The coins worked. All of them. Treef even lost track of which one was the original magic coin. After a weekend in a Motel 6 with a $49 bench grinder, they had created their first coin collection. 500 meticulously prepared $50. This would begin a 2-year rampage of travel, gambling, and debauchery that would become a thing of legends. And there I was, trying to beat blackjack at the Indian casinos in San Diego County. grab a deck of cards, and if you haven't already, subscribe, leave a review, tell somebody. This has been Folklore from the Felt. I'll see you next week.